This week on the Wounded Warriors in Action podcast, host John McDaniel sits down for a conversation with Purple Heart recipient Jake Whipkey and host of the Mocan Ducks, Bucks, and Trapping event, Brian Roderick. Let's join the conversation now.
All right, my name is John McDaniel. I'm the founder and CEO of the Wounded Warriors in Action Foundation. We're doing a podcast today. I've got two of my most favorite people with me here today, Jake Whipkey and Brian Roderick, and I'll talk about them here in a minute and set that stage for you a little bit. But some of the background on this is that Jake Whipkey was, the first combat wounded veteran that I met that I had an immediate connection to. And Jake has been with the foundation for, basically since its inception. And when the foundation was rolling, just beginning to roll in its infancy, there was a lot of people across the country who were saying, "Hey, I know what you're doing. I want to help you do this." And they were opening their doors and giving us access to their property so we can hunt and fish with these veterans. So that's what we do, honor, connect, and heal. We take, these great American veterans, these Purple Heart recipients, and we introduce them to or in some cases reintroduce them to the great outdoors, connect them with each other, connect them with communities and people who care. And in that process, through the great outdoors, we help them heal, right? So this is what the foundation does. And early on, I met Jake. He came up to Camp Hackett in northern Wisconsin, and he and I hunted together for several days and deer hunted. Probably, hunted for rough grouse and ducks and geese, and just, got and fished for muskie and just got at it, right? And Jake and I really hit it off. And then a couple of years later, as these American sportsmen and women across the country were saying, "Hey, I know I found out what you're doing, and I want to help you do this by opening a chapter, essentially, and hosting these veterans, these amazing veterans." And we're talking circa 2009. I started in 2007. In 2009, by that time, people are kind of crawling out of the woodwork saying, "I want to help you." So I said, okay. Well, one of those people that got hold of us was Brian Roderick. And Brian said, "Hey, we're here in the St. Joe area outside of KC, and we want to start a chapter and kind of call it Mocan and work off of this idea of hunting and fishing in Missouri and Kansas, hence the hybrid Mocan." And I was like, okay, I've never hunted or fished in Missouri. I'd heard lots of things about, it's the central fly zone. There's big bucks there and all this. So it's okay. So we put together a mission. And I remember, I was thinking about this on the way into work this morning. I was like, okay, what memory do I have? What is my memory of that very first event? Because now, Brian's going to tell you here in a minute, they're on year 13. Okay, and it really has become sort of like the Mocan is like the 800-pound gorilla of the foundation. It's just a monster. It's unstoppable. It's like a freight train. And there's a lot of demand for what, Brian and his amazing team are doing. So I go back to my first memory, and I was like, okay, let me think about this. And it immediately hit me, because I recall it like it was yesterday. So, and you guys can fill in here, and I'll introduce you in a second. The guys can fill in, but my recollection of that was that there's me and Jake standing in the parking lot. The heroes are bedding down. Okay. We're in a 2-bed hotel. Okay. It's a hotel no-tell. That's my dad. What's it called?
Drury Inn, right?
The Drury Inn. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. And so right off the side of the road, the heroes are bedding down. Jake and I are rooming together. We're bunkies, right? We got a room with a couple of queen beds in her twin beds or something. Who knows? And right. And so Jake and I go outside, And we knew that I called them the three horsemen of the apocalypse. Now there's four horsemen of the apocalypse. They're throwing Lance in there, but Lance wasn't present for that particular time. And what happened was there was me and Jake standing in the parking lot, and I think the event was just concluding. It might have been the last night, and we had just had dinner, and the heroes are going to bed, and tomorrow we're taking them, off back to the airport. And there's Brian Roderick. Okay, there's Bradley Smith and Douglas Pflugrad, the three original horsemen of the apocalypse, right? And the sun is setting, okay, and not quite so spectacular fashion. We're in the parking lot, and
I remember
Brian's
snow geese flying over, like there were snow geese flying over high. It was I remember it like it was yesterday for some reason.
And there's Brian. Yeah, Brian, come here, come here, got something for you. Then I was like, okay. So we go back. He opens up the trunk of his car, starts rifling through some stuff, and hands me a bag. Right, and it's a paper bag, but like, Air, this for you. And I like, okay, and I open up the paper bag, and inside of the paper bag is a bank bag, with a zipper on it, and it's bulging at the seams. The bank bag is bulging at the seams. And so all right, I'll bite. I open it up and I look, and there's thing is full of cash, like checks and cash, just dying to get out of there. So I zip the bag back up and I hand it back to Brian. Like, I don't know what kind of thing you think we're running here, but that's it, I don't know. Why are you giving me money, man? And no, it's for you. We collected it. Just keep doing what you're doing. That was the end of that story. Isn't that true, Brian?
True story.
Plus or minus.
True story.
Yeah. And so you were the very first. Yeah, you're the very first guy, the very first mission that ever raised money to support the cause. And today, I mean, you probably have not even arguably the number one mission that we do. And you're saying, well, how do I quantify that, right? Well, that's quantified by the quality of the experience, the quality of the people that you surround our heroes with, the precision that you execute the operation with, the opportunities that are presented at your mission. And you've energized an entire community of support. You guys killed, last year, how many bucks did you guys kill?
11, I believe. Is that right, Jack?
Monsters.
Yeah, 11, absolutely.
Yeah.
11 free chase Missouri monsters.
Well, one Kansas
in a week.
buck.
One Kansas in a weekend, and killed over 100 ducks. Got the Missouri DNR or Fish and Game folks involved in a trap line, right?
Correct.
Unbelievable. That's the Mocan magic. Brian, I got to tell you, man, I just want to express my admiration, my gratitude, and I know I'm going to shut up here in a minute and let you chat about your mission, and then I'm going to swing over to Jake and have Jake talk to us a little bit. But I just want to publicly say how proud I am of you. I know you don't think about yourself as a leader, but you were a quiet, calm professional that has managed to build one of the most amazing teams that we know that supports this foundation. And I just wanted to say, thank you for that, and give you a chance to highlight some of these amazing people that are helping make your mission happen, because it's really nothing short of phenomenal.
It truly is. We're blessed. We're surrounded by some amazing people here in the St. Joe area that go out of their way to help these guys, and I'd like to take credit for it, but it's not me. It's them. They're doing all the work. Yeah.
Well, I always think about like a mirror, when people start, talking about, me, I just don't like it. I don't like it, and I always think, you take that mirror and shine it, reflect, whatever's coming at you, and, and get that light in the dark corners where it really belongs, to illuminate the amazing people that are helping, your mission happen. Because once upon a time, a guy said to me, many hands make for light work. And I said, that's true. And it's certainly the case with MoCan, but you got some superstars on it. I mean, Mr. November. I mean, right?
Correct. Correct. Terry, Kyle, Brad. Yeah, we got too many to start mentioning because then I'll miss somebody.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
These are just amazing people that
we have several hundred people that help make MoCan magic happen.
Yeah, and you're just the ring conductor.
That's all I am. I'm the
guy with a chair and a whip.
I'm the tech sender, is what I am. all the real work's done by somebody else. But it's pretty amazing.
You missed a part whenever you guys started. I mean, you guys were selling tickets at like Walmarts and like different functions whenever you guys first started. That's how you guys raised that first money, man. I mean, it's a grassroots thing, and you guys busted your rear ends to make it happen, really. I mean, and as people seeing this magic thing happening through you guys, they wanted to join the team. And to me, like John said, that's another thing about the success of your mission and the foundation in general. Like, so many people want to help because they see the magic that you're doing, man. And that's just a credit to you guys and the hard work and the dedication you guys had to the mission, I think. So it's really awesome for me. That's just super cool.
I've heard, many people have come up to me, Brian, and said, so what, like MoCan's the standard? And I go, and I have to think about that because to be careful with what I say. I go, well, it's hard for me to say that it's the standard because if I say that's the standard, a lot of people are going to fail. Everybody is unique, right? We have like almost today it's like 45 missions across the country, right? Where people like you and communities like yours have come together and are offering, world-class outdoor sporting opportunities for our Purple Heart recipients, and under our wing, if you will, and the foundation's support, are doing this. And they've asked me, well, just like I understand, I see what MoCan says, is that the standard? And I hesitate to say yes because everybody's unique. Every mission is different. It just sort of. I always refer to MoCan as the 800-pound gorilla. It rattles when it decides to get up and exercise. It rattles the cage. It eats a lot. It makes noise. It beats its chest. There's
indeed.
And you just kind of get out of its way. Feed it. Inoculate it. Let it out on occasion.
Best free range.
Let it breathe. Let it breathe.
That's right. Let it breathe. That's right. Well, anyway, we're going to come back to you here in just a second, Brian, because I want to ask you. I want to ask you about your maybe your favorite memory at MoCan, or just something that over the years that in a particular event tells a story about something that's that really was impactful. The magic, if you will. But before I do that, I want to go back to Jake Whipkey because Jake back in 2009. I think our first time together was was MoCan the first one 2009? What was the first year we did MoCan?
I believe 10. Yes.
Okay, 10
so too.
Okay, so 2010. It's 2022. You're coming up on 13 years. This year will be 13.
Correct.
Right. Okay. So back in the day, like the foundation didn't have a huge pool of combat wounded from which to draw upon. And, like I mentioned earlier in the show, I had to, I needed help. I just couldn't do it all, And so I asked Jake, hey man, we got this thing going on in Missouri with a guy by the name of Brian Roderick. We're going to go, hunt for deer and kill some ducks. You want to go? Oh yeah, sure, absolutely. Jake never, ever, not one time has ever said no to any, and he's got a family. He's working. Now he's in school. He's got everybody's got all these competing demands, but Jake, he never said no. And I will tell you, I am a I like to, I mean, I think I understand people pretty well. And one of the things, Jake, that you do better, I think, than anybody that I've ever seen in action is your ability to interact effectively with the heroes, the host, the community, and the foundation. And a lot of people would call that, they would call that EQ. They give IQ, you're smart, okay, but you're also the EQ piece is like, I know it sounds flowery, but it's really like this, the emotional intelligence to be able to go into a dynamic situation and thrive and make people feel good and interact well with others. And Jake, you do that better than anybody, and oh, by the way, you're a Purple Heart recipient. You're the senior, guide. You've been through our guide school. You've got probably more missions under your belt than anybody. You've been with me on mission. You go up to Camp Hackett every year and have since it's basically its inception. And you're a combat wounded Purple Heart recipient. You live in the mountains of Pennsylvania. You are a mountain man. If folks could see the beard that Jake has on his face, it looks like he's got a badger taped to it. It's the most glorious beard on the planet. Like it's like I don't know. You know how like they talk about pixels, like it's high pixel resolution. Like I don't know how many hairs per like centimeter there are in that beard, but it's the kind of beard when Jake and I'm going to turn it over to you in a minute, but I got to tell the story. We went to the Lightning Hockey Foundation, recognized the WWIA, the Wounded Warriors in Action Foundation, as a community hero. We got a community hero award, which was amazing, right? It was quite a pile of money. It was amazing. It was like $50,000. And I asked Jake again, hey man, would you want to come to that? He's like, sure. So here we are at Tampa Bay. And we go to the hockey game. I don't remember who they're playing, but they're going to have my face on a big screen. And
they're playing the Jets.
The Jets, okay, in Winnipeg, and so Jeff Vinnick, the owner, is going to present a check for $50,000. Marty St. Louis is the guy presenting it and talking about the foundation. Did a great job. It's on the jumbotron at some point in intermission or something. But before the game, we get like free passes to go check out the team, by the locker room. And they're out there playing. They're playing soccer, like they've taken those fence
volleyball hacky sack.
Yeah, volleyball hacky sack. Yeah. That's right. And Stamkos, the captain of the team, our superstar, comes right over to Jake and he starts admiring his beard. What do you say to you, man?
He's like, dude, that's an epic beard, man. He's like, it would take me 5 years to grow that thing. And I'm like, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I was kind of starstruck for a second, but yeah, he definitely called me out on it. So,
well, Jake, you were shot 7 times in Iraq. You've got a Purple Heart. You're probably the best, sportsman I know. You just an amazing sense for in the woods and in the waterways. You're an amazing person. I appreciate everything you've done to help the foundation grow and support all these heroes that we provide services for. And I wanted to also thank you, publicly for all the hard work and the value that you've added to the foundation. But I'm going to ask you, if you don't mind, to just talk us through the day you're wounded, in combat. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I think there probably a lot of people would be interested in hearing about a guy. Well, how tall are you, by the way?
You're like 6'2".
6'2", monster man.
A slim 280. Slim 280.
Slim 280. Monster, okay, with this glorious beard that looks like somebody taped a badger to your face.
A high thread
count. There you go. Nice. But talk us through that day, if you don't mind. I'm sure I'd like to hear the story again.
Yeah. So it was November 18th, 2007. And I was with the 101st Airborne Division, and it was my second trip to Iraq. And my first trip was up northern Iraq, Kirkuk, a big oil city. And on that mission, I was basically I was in a weapons squad, so I had a 240 machine gun, and I ended up being a gunner and a driver that pretty much that whole tour. And then we came back to the States for about 10 months, and then my second trip we went over was to Samar, Iraq, and we left I think the end of August 2007, and that trip I was a squad leader and with the same unit, the 101st, and we had received some contact that day. It was November 18th, 2007, and we'd been in quite a few conflicts that day. We were kind of getting chased around by some guys, and we were doing a door-to-door knock and greet, kind of seeing where the trouble areas of our city might be, trying to map it basically so we could say, well, this area of Samara is more prone to outsiders, and we think there's going to be trouble coming from this area, and it would give us a little better sense of how to fight the enemy. And it was the last house we were going to that day. And I had just walked out the truck because we were kind of bouncing my machine gun teams kind of ahead of the teams that were going in the houses. And so I just got my machine gun team out of the house and just got them back to the trucks. And my LT calls on the radio and he said, "Hey, Whip," he said, "we got stolen Iraqi police uniforms in this guy's closet in here on the last house." We were just kind of walking through. Someone seen something suspicious. So we go in, we start questioning this guy. And the reason that was important is because they were shipping weapons and men in the city. We basically had it closed off. There was 3 ways in and out of the city, and they were coming through. They were dressed in Iraqi police uniforms, and they get through the checkpoints a lot easier that way. So this guy
the
bad guys, absolutely, yeah. So the enemy was shipping in gear and guys with that method. So we were in there and we were questioning the guy. We ended up detaining him, and we get word over the radio that we were going to play a little cat and mouse there, and the helicopters were going to sit just off site. And we were going to go try to get in contact again, draw fire. We were going to drive through a couple of areas we got contact that day, and then hopefully receive contact again so we could have the helicopters come in and hopefully chase down these bad dudes that were after us all day. Where we were at was basically the worst spot in the whole city to be ambushed from because there was 2 intersecting power lines. So it was the biggest avenue of approach from our enemies. You could be way down the street and the angle was right. You'd be able to shoot and target us as opposed to if you were in a narrow section. So it was basically the worst case scenario. And so we got on there and we talked to the helicopters and said, yeah, we'll take a little patrol back up this section. We got contact from a few times today. And I was in the courtyard of the house telling my guys, what was going on, and just let them know. And I come out and my truck was to the left. There was a concrete wall there around the house with a steel gate. And my truck was parked about 50 yards away from the gate. And I got about halfway back to my truck whenever it felt like someone hit me, with a baseball bat in the arm is the best way I can explain it. Just a real bad sting. Whenever that happened, it swung my right arm back, and it was seriously like a movie scene. It was like time slowed down, and then I felt the second one hit my bicep. The first one hit me right in the forearm. The second one hit me in the bicep. And, as I was, kind of like stumbling back, I was like looking down, I could see like flicks of like fabric flying off my bulletproof vest. And, so, I kind of fell back and kind of startled me, and the guys grabbed me and threw me back in the wall there and put a tourniquet on my arm to stop the major bleeding there. And then, I got back out to the truck. Well, we called the birds. So the birds come in, and then I got back in the truck and, we got back to the base there and I received medical care from there, and that was November 2007. So, then I ended up having some medical treatment. I got my right radius bone in my right arm was shattered. So I have a plate with 7 screws there. And then my radial nerve in my bicep was severed by the second round. So, kind of the procedure was to wait to make sure the nerve wasn't going to regenerate on its own. And after a year, it wasn't regenerating. We weren't sure that it was severed yet, but whenever they went in there, they took my sural nerve out of my left leg, and then they attached it above and below the bullet wound. Whenever they went in there, they found out that it was completely severed. And as of now, I have a lot of regeneration in my right arm. It's not 100%, but I mean, I think if you know me, you would never notice that it was it was affected at all. But yeah, it was definitely it was an interesting day. It was kind of crazy afterwards. The guy that shot me up there, his name was Abdul Basat, and he released information that he killed me on that day. And our guys ended up chasing him around for a while. So it was definitely interesting. I was just really lucky to have a really good team of guys that were they were able to stop the bleeding and get me out of there in a real timely fashion, and honestly, like all my gear and the medical treatment I had was phenomenal. I know a lot of people have had, ups and downs with their medical treatment, but man, I've said forever, like as far as mine goes, I don't think I could have got better treatment anywhere in the world by anybody. I truly believe that. So just thankful to be here.
Oh, that's an amazing story. I appreciate you sharing that with us, Jake. And the thing of it is that I don't think a lot of people, our military is kind of a big, it's mysterious to most people. Like less than 1% of our, it's an all volunteer force. Like in Vietnam, they had a draft, right? And they had, and in Korea and World War II, et cetera, people got drafted. Men got drafted to go off and fight. And today we have an all volunteer force and less than like 1% of our society. So, less than 1% of the people that are listening to this are probably ever wore a uniform, right? So they don't really, understand. And so which is, hey, I was in it for 20 years, and there's a lot I don't understand. It's the nation's, longest standing corporation, if you will. But the foundation is focused on the Purple Heart recipients. Okay. Those guys and gals that actually, were wounded in combat, hence the name Wounded Warriors in Action. And so he earned the Purple Heart Medal, which on the back of it, when you flip it over, it says for wounds, received in action, and it's given for merit, all things. Like you did something good, bleeding for your country. George Washington used to give a little piece of cloth to his soldiers, enlisted men for doing good things, and I'm sure being wounded was, one of those qualifiers. But anyway, it's amazing. It really is. So we serve a very, very small segment of the veteran population writ large because there just aren't that many, thank God, that actually do get wounded and by an opposing force. And Jake, you're one of them. You're a guide. You've been through our guide school, and you're just you're an amazing American. And I appreciate all you've done. And thanks for sharing that story. I'm sure you're lucky to be alive. If it wasn't for you, if you didn't have a ceramic plate in your flak vest, you probably wouldn't be here, right?
That's a fact.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. You talked a second there ago about, my EQ skills and stuff. And I reflect back to whenever I was that young, dumb soldier and how little EQ skills I had, very little. And, I think a lot of that is a testament to the foundation and the people like yourself and like Brian that I've been surrounded with for, since 2008 that have helped make me into the person I am today. Whenever I first started in this thing, it was more about me. It was about what I can get to do. I can go to Missouri and hunt deer. Of course, I can go to Wisconsin. Why not, man? And but in the end, I know it may sound cliche, but it's so true that the relationships that I've built over this time period have become way more important than any trophy I've ever taken from the field. Period. It's just the relationships and the skills that I've attained along the way are worth more than anything anybody could ever pay me. So, to me, it's a true testament of the success of the foundation and the people like both of you too that are there and involved and push this thing forward.
I want to ask Brian. I appreciate that, Jake. But I ask Brian. Brian, why are you doing this, man? Why do you do this?
I believe.
Why do you start MoKan? Why do you do it?
I believe in it. All of us believe in it. We see that it helps. A lot of these guys are going through all kinds of terrible things, and they get to get out in the field and be surrounded by people who do care about them. And by that, I'm referring to my squad of 200. But also they get to be around each other, and they have a lot of opportunities to do stuff. And it works.
How would you define your leadership style? That Brian. I really know. Look, he raised his eyes. They're like, no, seriously. How would you define it?
My leadership style is to let everybody lead. I'm here. Somebody has to hold up the trophy for the team, but it's certainly not me, nor did I do this so that I would have to look at my face on this podcast. But I don't ever want my name in anything. I believe in this. It works. I know that it does, or I wouldn't be involved.
When you say it works, you're talking about the working end of it, what it does, the impact that it has on the veterans, right?
100%. 100%.
Yeah. And I want to ask you about, if you would share with us, you can mention names or not mention names. It doesn't matter. Just state, first names maybe. If you remember them, it doesn't. If you don't, it's fine too. But if you don't mind, would you share with us a time or a scenario or something, in the amazing work that you do helping our veterans through the power of the great outdoors in your community? A story or an anecdotal story or a story about, an individual or something that's happened that you found in particular very impactful?
Well, I don't want to mention any names, but I've had a few of the heroes that have mentioned that they were in a very bad place in their life, and by coming out and going on this event, it changed their life.
Yeah.
And I really can't. I'm not going to. Good stuff, though. Good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. They said that to you personally.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, and me too, and I'm sure Jake has the same thing. I mean, I've had guys, one, I won't mention any names,
right.
But God bless them. I was, it was right around the same time frame, maybe a few years later. Maybe 10 years ago, maybe like 2012 or something like that. I was, on the road doing my thing, and we had an event. And it was Kansas. It was in Kansas. Okay, it was Cocker City. And the event was over, and I had a radio spot I was doing with the host, and so we'd said goodbye to the heroes, and the radio station was 30 minutes from wherever we were hunting and doing our mission, and so I did the radio spot, and then I went to. There's a gas station kind of across the street. This is middle of nowhere. I mean, Kansas, right? You don't have to go very far to be in the middle of nowhere. And so I go to this gas station, figuring it's probably the last, gas station I'm going to see for a while. And I pull a truck in there, and all of a sudden, I no sooner get out in this car, like, heading right towards me, and then, kind of wedges me in. And dude gets out of the car, and I'm like thinking, okay, not immediately recognize the guy because he's one of the guys on the event that we were just concluding. And he comes up to me, and big man, and shakes my hand and just says, I want to tell you that I want to thank you for what you did this weekend. I didn't tell anybody, but last week I lost my dad, and this week I lost my son, and I was seriously contemplating killing myself, taking my own life. I was scheduled to go on this event, and something told me I needed to do it. So I did it, and I just want to thank you because, you guys saved my life. Like, wow.
Powerful.
Very powerful, right? And so we all have stories like that. But, the thing of it is, you just never know what people are going through.
Exactly.
That's why you got to be nice. You got to be kind. My mom used to have on her, in the kitchen. I grew up in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Right above the sink was a little sign that said, thou shalt not criticize thy neighbor until they've, walked a mile in their moccasins. And I was like, that stuck with me my whole life. Like, you just don't know what people are going through. It might be the person you're sitting next to on the plane, and they're kicking your seat or they're stealing your armrest, and you just want to reach over and choke them. But, I try to remind myself that, just don't know, right? You don't know what that's going on inside of that person's head or what they've been through, and I think, work through the foundation. I mean, these amazing Americans are, have been through a lot. Hell, we all struggle with stuff, let alone being shot 7 times or losing an arm or a leg or, Lord knows, right? And that isn't to say anything about the invisible wounds. wounds, right? The wounds you can't see, the demons. And I was thinking the other night, I was like, I know this is a bit esoteric, but, a buddy of mine used to say, when he would sleep, the demons would come out, he'd be like, demons, dress right, yes, and they're standing at attention, forward, march, and there goes the demons, and the thing about it is that, you gotta exercise the demons somehow, some way. If you got them, you gotta get them out. You gotta get them in formation. Now think about this. I thought about this last night. You got to get them in formation. You got to stand them at attention. You got to give them right face and march them. Okay. It means you got to control, you got to take charge of those demons and be in charge of them. Now, and once you've exercised them and did whatever you need to do that, then put them back in the barracks and close the door and lock it. You know what I mean? Their time is done. All right.
Because if you hide them in a corner and pretend they're not there, then they sneak up on you from the cover of darkness, and then
that's right.
You don't know how to deal with them.
That's right. And we're not the only ones, I say we, veterans, aren't the only ones that have demons. Traumatic stuff, okay, happens to people. And so we all have stuff, right? But anyway, this population is amazing, and I think the foundation's work, has, just provided a safe place for them to come and to meet people like Brian in your community. Think about this. Like, I was thinking about this too. Like, maybe either one of you can piggyback off of this thought, but, I was trying to get into like you have the conscious and then the subconscious, mind, right? And so we're aware of all the things that are happening, hopefully, in our conscious minds, but there's a lot of things that are, imprinting upon us in a subconscious way that we don't exactly. I'm not trying to get into this, Freudian stuff or anything like that. I'm just saying that, we as humans, a lot of things happen in our subconscious that we're maybe not aware of right away or ever. It just happens. And, the idea of people. Okay, so first off, soldiers go off and they fight wars. They have been ever since Cain clubbed Abel. We've been warring. We are a violent, lot. And, Americans, if you rattle our cage or we feel like it's important for us to get involved, I got a news flash for you. We're coming at you, especially if you poke the beehive, something's going to happen. Okay. And that's just the way it is. It's foreign policy. It's not the military making those decisions. Our political appointed officials make them. We just execute, right? But Americans never shied away from, the sting of battle, right? That's just who we are. But imagine yourself, raising your right hand as a volunteer and putting on our country's uniform at the ripe old age of, I don't know, Jake, what were you, 19, 20? What were
18.
you? 18. There you go. The average age of the average soldier in Vietnam was 19. Right. So, I imagine it's pretty similar even, to this day. So you raise your right hand, you put on a uniform, you join the Marine Corps, you join the Army, fill in the blank, and you go off and you get thrown in war and combat, and then you get wounded and you get discharged based on your wounds in this example, and you're back on the block. I'm like, well, now what? Everything that I had, that I loved, that I was passionate about is gone. It's just gone, and I can't get it back because they won't let me play, and this idea of having a service mentality. Hey, I joined the service, and I want to serve my country. Now I can't, but all these people now are opening their people I don't know, like Brian, Roderick, and your wonderful MoCan community. There's a lot of anxiety, I think, before an event. When guys are like unsure where they're going, who are they going to meet? Hell, I don't even like flying. Dude, I can't stand flying. I hate airports, and I don't like crowds too much either. But the whole airport scene is just that's why I wear headphones and sunglasses, and I'm like, and a hat. I'm like checking out, man. Can't stand it. But same thing with these heroes. You got to get in a plane, go meet a bunch of people you don't know. I'm talking about a WWIA event. Go into a community that you've never been, a bed that you're not familiar with. child that you didn't decide to eat that's being fed to you. You know, all these things, right? You may not even have ever deer hunted or duck hunted before. So all these things are new, and that adds a lot of anxiety there, right? But people like Brian in your community are opening your homes, you know, your lands, you know, your hearts, everything to these amazing Americans who've bled for their country. That psychologically, that has got to be, I think, extremely powerful component of our work. Like, these people I don't know are doing this for me. I'm not paying a penny for this. I'm going to Mocan, and you know, and then next thing you know, 4 months later, after they get home, this huge monster, you know, mounted deer, you know, and they shot 5, 6, 10 ducks, several geese. They killed a monster whitetail. You know, I mean, that signal subconsciously has got to feel like, hey, people do give a crap about what I did for this country, right?
Right.
That's got to be a powerful thing. So anyway, I mean, what do you think, Brian? What do you think about that?
It's amazing. We have landowners and guides for ducks and deer that go out of their way. And we were removed from the motel by the graciousness of Terry Supple and the team at Napier, right, who from year 3 let us go up there and stay in that amazing place. And they have been the best. Napier is awesome.
Yeah.
And that really makes it great. And
Jake, set the scene at Napier, man. What's that like?
Oh, my word. It's just exceptional. I mean, well, you walk in, well, first of all, you drive down the dirt road, and then you look up on this big mound of dirt and this giant opposing, huge, beautiful looking building. And then, you know, before you get out of the truck, you have like 3 or 4 guys coming out and, you know, greeting you, you know, with open arms and loving and caring. And then you walk in the mudroom and it's like, good Lord, when does this thing stop, man? And not to mention, like, off to your left there, you see about, you know, 10,000 snow geese flying around constantly. And it's just such an amazing setting. And it's a great big building there that the Napier Hunt Club has. And then just not on top of that, I mean, it's just amazing people. It's like, man, every time everybody walks in there, it's like, dude, these people treat me like I'm part of their family, man. I've never met these guys before. Like, why?
Right.
Like, what's up? And I'm like, dude, they feel the magic, man. They want what you have, and, you know, we want what they have. And it's an amazing symbiotic relationship, man, that just is, you know, it's amazing to see, you know, how awesome that club is at accepting everybody like they're part of the family.
That's well said. Hey, Brian, I gotta ask you a question here, man. First off, and you know, Jake, you're in the club. I would refer to the club as expert sportsman. Okay, I mean, like, sometimes you say, you know, you think to yourself, okay, well, I ask people sometimes, you know, what are you expert at? It's so crazy what they say, right? Some people tell you, oh, hey, wow, I never knew that. Like, I didn't know you did that. Oh, cool. You know, and you probably would not, because you're humble. You probably wouldn't refer to yourself as, you know, an expert sportsman, but I mean, I refer to you that, and Jake as well, expert at what you do. And you're a recreational sportsman. People don't pay you, you know, they might. I mean, I don't know. You know, people might pay you to no. Okay, so you're a recreational sportsman, an expert sportsman at that, and I would put myself in certain disciplines within the outdoor sporting arena. I guess I would probably venture to tongue in cheek say it that I have a couple pockets of expertise. Duck hunting is not one of them. I mean, I'm a good duck. I think I'm probably a good duck hunter. I'm not an expert duck hunter. And I've seen you and your team in action, and you're a dog handler too, right? So let me ask you, all right, what makes a good duck hunter?
I think you just have to be willing to change. A lot of people aren't willing to change. They do what they grew up doing, and if it don't work, then it's somebody else's fault. But you have to be able to change, adapt. Best I can.
Give me an example of that. Give me an example of a adaptive change.
Tell us the secret.
No.
Tell the world the secret.
There's no secrets. No, you just have to be willing to try different stuff. If your decoy set isn't working, add to it, take away from it. Add motion to it, take motion away. be where the ducks want to be, and if you can't, put on a big display to try to what we call run traffic on them and get them to come in. Persistent.
Yeah. But it doesn't hurt to be in the Squaw Creek Valley, in the central fly zone. Location. That you guys are in probably. I mean, that part of America is, oh my gosh, is amazing. I mean, the game opportunities there are amazing. And I remember when Terry Supple took me, the guy that runs the Napier there, sports club. He invited me to go out one night. It was, I think it was to go, in a duck blind. I think we hunted once, but two together, which was phenomenal. Killed a bunch of ducks. But one of those nights, he was like, just come with me. We're not going to bring any guns. We're just going to watch the sunset, and I'm going to show you something. I was like, okay. So we go into this marsh there in the back, and the sun's setting, and it's past shooting light, but it's still that, early evening nautical twilight time, right? EENT, where you can still see, but not so good. And the sky turns black, like literally black with ducks. Like I'd never seen anything. It was like something out of Alfred Hitchcock. I'd never in my life had I ever seen anything like that. And I think that was at that point that it dawned on me, like, there's a reason for this. But I grew up hunting in Wisconsin and, shooting coots on Lake Beautiful, for God's sake, and felt like I hit the lottery when a pintail came by or I shot a greenhead, I mean, literally it was. But that experience is something else. Now, why are the ducks there? That's what I want to know. I mean, why are there so many awesome opportunities, sporting opportunities where you live? And in particular, why are the ducks there?
Just we're in a major flyway for the funnel for the Mississippi flyway, and we have habitat. We have Squaw Creek National Wildlife Refuge. And there's two state areas there, Nottoway Valley and Bob Brown, and they attract and hold a lot of waterfowl. Plus, there's a lot of private clubs, core ground, and the river, and then a few lakes. But there's a lot of food. But hey, we're talking about expert sportsmen. I got to talk about Lance Cornelius because
let's do it.
Yeah,
Mr. He's November. Referred to as Mr. But he's actually Mr. October, Mr. November, and Mr. December, and now it turns out Mr. January.
These are facts. So, but initially, when I contacted you to bring a couple Purple Hearts out and go hunting, it was just a duck hunt. And Lance is the one that said, hey, I could take them deer hunting in the afternoon because you're not going to be duck hunting in the afternoon. And I said, okay, as long as you do it. Well, turns out the heroes enjoyed deer hunting mainly more than they do duck hunting. And Lance is extremely successful. I want to say that he's almost at 60 deer Purple Hearts have taken while they're sitting next to him. Almost 60. I could be wrong. If I am, he'll tell me. But he's in the upper 50s right now.
Amazing.
That's amazing. That's just Lance. And we have a ton of outstanding deer guides, and I'm not putting any of them down because you've seen the quality of deer that we get.
The results speak for themselves.
Yeah.
There's a trailer. Yeah, you had a trailer.
Right.
A flatbed trailer. There's a picture out there on our website or on your Facebook page for the foundation. Somewhere out there I saw it, but it's looks like a semi trailer with all the deer, the European mounts, the skulls with the racks.
Right.
Whatever there was, 11 or 12 of them that you killed them.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
We dropped them off. Got them from the processors, and now with Jake Hawk, Team Hawk is going to have all those mounted and shipped to the heroes. It's amazing, a bunch of guys over there in Kansas.
I'm having a couple of knives made for those two great Americans for you. They're just Red River knives are cranking out. So I'm gonna square them away, and I got some of those Weeby skinners too. So they're gonna double down on that deal, but. Lance is amazing. And, here's the other thing. We in the military, talk about, selfless service, right? And that it's not just, in some cases, I suppose it's talk, but in the case of Mocan and some of those, superstar individuals that you've got running segments of your operation, like Lance and many other amazing deer guides, as you've mentioned.
Right. Kyle, Brad, Terry.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah. Great dudes.
Tons.
Great dudes. But
it's tough to leave out Kyle, man, because if it wasn't for him, we're all like, where do we go? I mean, Kyle Evans, he does Captain a huge part in like moving the pieces, and he gets yelled at by Brian like hourly.
Negative. So, he yells at me.
Isn't his wife like instrumental too?
Yes,
in this whole thing?
She does the dinner.
Absolutely.
But Kyle, every night we'll ask the heroes if they want to go trapping, deer hunting, or duck hunting in the morning, and then line all that up to and from who they're going with.
Yeah, you got a whiteboard there, like it's like a ranger operation by phase. Raise your hand if you want to go duck hunting.
Yeah.
All right, you guys move over here. Raise your hand if you want to go on a trap line. 5 guys go over there. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah, but selfless. These guys. Think about this, man. I mean, just think about this. Like, most guys won't let their brother sit in their deer stand. They just won't do it. Like, do you think they would tell anybody about this buck that's in the wood line? They're not doing that. If they know there's a big buck hanging around, they're creatures of habit. But you guys, wait and won't even kill them.
We have deer guides that own properties or manage properties that specifically leave their bigger deer for these guys. And they'll send me pictures of them. I know. And it's amazing. I would deer hunt if I could deer hunt where these guys get to go.
That's unbelievable, man. Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable. And by comparison, okay, and I'm just going to say it, I'm just going to say it out loud. But, I've got a chunk of property. The foundation's got a chunk of property in northern Wisconsin where I, my old stomping grounds. And we've been taking guys up there. It's the original mission set. We're coming up on year 15 here. I think it is 15 or 16 this year. And precisely nobody in that same amount of time has killed a buck.
Sure.
Now that's northern Wisconsin. We got wolves, and there's predation issues, and it's the hardwoods, and I could talk for days about why it is that way. But by comparison, you guys killed 11 monster deer, all free chase, free roam, fair hunt. There's no high fences. None of this is going on there, and you guys are crushing it, man.
Our deer numbers are way down for the last 3 years, but these guys are so good at scouting and putting them on animals that it's a well-oiled machine.
Yeah. Absolutely it is. Well, let me ask you, and I know we're coming up on an hour here. We could go as long as we want, but I try to keep these things in an hour. So, Brian, let me ask you this. Okay, so if you had any advice to give anybody out there who's thinking about starting a mission, for the foundation, for the WWIA, coming on board as a new host. What would you tell them? What kind of advice would you give them?
Don't put yourself first. Try to ask people that are experienced in their area to help you, so that it works. The first few dinners that we did, we reached out to Ducks Unlimited, Wild Turkey Federation, Pheasants Forever. And they actually brought their games to the dinners and staffed them and ran them. But I mean, this stuff, and the best thing you can do is just have them spend time with these heroes. And that's going to make it to where it sells itself, basically. Until they sit in a duck blind or a deer stand with one of these guys. Once they do, then they're yours.
It's over.
It's over.
Well, on that note, if you had to, just put yourself in the duck blind. I mean, the first time I was in a duck blind with you guys, and I was with, Jake was obviously with me, and we're killing ducks. It's great, and there's big spread, and there's lots of activity, and you got a great dog and a great dog handler, and it's, we've been up since, 4:00 in the morning. So it's, the light's coming up. It's 7:00, 7:30, 8:00, whatever it is. And you guys fire up the grill, and we're making, bologna and egg sandwiches, right?
Yeah.
Drinking
good stuff, man. That's the stuff you remember. That's the stuff you don't remember the third duck you shot. You remember that hot bologna, egg, and cheese sandwich.
There you go. Hot bologna, egg, and cheese sandwich.
Yeah.
What, bar S? Bar S bologna only?
Brad this year switched it up to jalapeno bologna.
Ooh, I like that.
Ooh, it's fancy.
Jalapeno bologna.
Yeah.
That's fancy.
It's fancy.
Yeah. Then of course you remember the Pied Bill Grieve story. I mean that.
We better have him go there. I don't know what the limitations are on that. On the bearded one.
I think so. I think we're within statute.
All right. We better not talk about that. Okay. All right. Well, listen. Hey, I want to just open it up. And I want to ask Jake one more question. Then we'll go around the horn for safe rounds. But Jake, you have obviously seen more missions in the foundation, conduct more missions in support of our activities, and rubbed elbows with a lot of our combat wounded. And I just, I gotta ask you what one thing, if you had to, put your finger on it, what one thing would you say, about your, collective experience with the foundation, and in particular with the heroes that we serve, and the work that we're doing? What one thing would you say is likely, the most impactful piece? I mean, why does this work? That's what I want to know. I mean, you said on camera a long time ago, I think it was during the Field and Stream, the Field and Stream, one of the years the Field and Stream did the Hero for a Day thing on us. You said they put me back on a team. I'll never forget that. But let me ask you. I mean, put yourself in their shoes. Put yourself in your own shoes. The 150 meter level, looking down on this thing. Why does it work?
I think it's really is successful because of relationships. And I think that that is key on two aspects. You have the hero-to-hero relationship. So as soon as dudes get to the airport, they already have an instant bond with these other guys that have Purple Hearts and that are working through similar issues. And I think that relationship, I mean, a lot of them, I'm still talking to dudes that I, met through the foundation in, 2009 and 10. So those relationships are long-lasting relationships. And then the second part of the relationship thing is the relationship with the hosts, the Brian Rodericks of the world, the David Studankas. I could run through the list and list. So I think that is, to me, the key is the relationships. It's good people. It's, you've always a lot of times said about people that are, they're servant, they have a servant mentality. And I think that the foundation is just a glimmering beacon of that, because the hosts, they all have a servant mentality. All the heroes have a servant. Well, I mean, they, for a vast majority, have a servant mentality. For a vast majority of the hosts have a servant mentality. And I think that's the key to the success. And I think one of the neat things I see is you talked earlier about, a measure of success on an event is I think that some of these relationships are so impactful at a first time that guys they volunteer to come back to help. Like dudes are like, hey man, how can I give back, man? This is so magical. How can I give back? And to me, like, that's a meter that I take. I'm like, boom, dude, that's huge. Like, it says how much you think of our team, that you want to give back and you want to help, in whatever aspect. Just on Brian's event this past year, we have 2 guys that volunteered now they're going to help in the future in different aspects of the foundation. To me, that's a giant, that's just a huge sign of success, because it's guys they were so impacted by relationships that they want to give back. And to me, that's huge, man.
Yeah, that's a great answer, and I think you're right. I'm on record as saying, I don't know where I learned this. I think it may have been in business school or something like that, where they were talking about the keys to success for business, and you've all heard it before. There's 3 things that are really important about your business, and that's location, and location. And you go, well, okay, fine. That might be true if you're, selling shoes, like a shoe store. You better be in a good, gas station. Location's very important, right? In the case of killing ducks and deer in Missouri, that location physically, geographically is pretty important, and I'll grant you that. But in the foundation, I tell people on the inside team, there's three things that are important about our work. It's the relationship, and the relationship, right? In business, I really think in our business and in a lot of businesses, that's true because people do business with people they know, like, and trust. And, if you're selling a widget, this is a pen. It's a fancy pen. I've had it for a long time. But it's a fancy pen. Like, it works pretty good. It runs out of ink occasionally, but I've had it forever. I don't care who made this pen. It doesn't matter to me. I don't even know the name of it. It works. I like it, but I don't need to have a relationship with them. But if I'm going to be sitting in a duck blind, okay, or spending a long weekend, our missions are like usually 5 days, 4 nights sort of thing. Those relationships are paramount. You're absolutely right, Jake. You got to like the people that are, that are surrounding you. And you have to be, if you don't like somebody, you don't trust somebody, you're not going to be around them. Chances are you're going to choose not to be around them if you have a choice. So, yeah, it is amazing. And it's very, very humbling to me to see this happening, across the country, where people are opening their homes and their hearts, and they're making their lands accessible and helping, all these wonderful Americans. So I have a huge salute to everybody like Brian, Roderick, and your amazing team at MoCan, Jake, Whipkey, and all the amazing things that you've done to help advance this mission and help all of these, amazing combat wounded. And to the listening audience, we really appreciate you tuning in. We've been at it for an hour, and I think we're pretty much going to call this a wrap. But I'm going to give the last word, give you guys an opportunity. Any saved rounds? Any last parting shots?
Do we have a name for this podcast?
That's a great question.
I've been thinking about it. Every podcast has a catchy little slogan name. We should probably have a name.
All right. Well, what are you thinking?
All right. I've been thinking about it, and I think we should call it Out of the Trenches.
Out of the Trenches?
Yeah.
Out of the Trenches. Podcast, Out of the Trenches.
It just struck me like halfway through this. I'm like, we got to name this thing because it can't just be labeled as the Wounded Warriors in Action podcast. It's got to have a catchy name, right?
That's it. It certainly could. As a matter of fact, I was walking the other day. I don't run anymore. I walk. Saunder. And I was listening to a podcast on the very same topic. Like, what do you call it? What do you call these podcasts? And there's those people out there that have thoughts on all that, as you would imagine, right? There's a podcast on hunting, and thoughts.
There's got to be an expert.
Podcast. There's got to be an expert. Well, Brian, what do you think?
Beats me. I don't know. I'll leave that
Looking
in your
paper. Looking at you, big sexy. Looking at you.
No,
the big sexy. But were we going to talk about your work or not?
My work?
You, Brian. Yeah, your workout.
What like you do the deer in the headlights look.
Oh, yeah, wow. Yeah. Well, next. Well, let's see. The first week of May will be 25 years at the United States Penitentiary in Leavenworth, Kansas. That's where I work. I'm a case manager there.
But you used to be a cage kicker.
Oh, yeah.
He's got stories galore.
Still am.
I'll bet that's exciting work.
It can be. But I'm out in the soft. I went out to pasture. I'm out at the federal prison camp. I have left the excitement for the camp life. And that's where if you're an accountant.
You got promoted.
Yeah. If you're an accountant or a doctor, you don't pay taxes, that's where you go. I'm pretty scary out there, to be honest.
Yeah. And I was going to mention your nickname, and I was told, this was years ago, that I was told that you had a nickname and what your call sign. and I was going to mention it, but I didn't know if I had permission to do that. So I thought I'd just let Jake do that.
Big Juicy is what he's referring to. We like calling him Big Juicy on the inside.
And then what was the other one? Big Sexy?
Big Sexy, Big Juicy.
The Big Sexy?
Yeah.
Big Sexy, Big Juicy?
Stallion gave me that.
Yeah, very well earned names.
I love it. Well, you're very handsome. You guys are both very handsome men. That's why we're recording this. So this one, the recording piece is going to go on YouTube. So everybody can, who wants to tune in on that channel can find you there. But anyway,
scary.
Look, scary. I know you always
scary.
Scary. Well, you said to me a long time ago that you had a face for radio.
Fact.
No,
still a fact. Still a fact. Yes. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thanks for all you do, Brian. God bless you. You are an amazing man, and I know you want to deflect all of that attention.
I do. I want to thank everybody that does everything.
Yeah,
Mocan Magic.
It's too hard.
Mocan Magic.
Mocan Magic. There's too many to name.
Indeed.
And it is absolutely a phenomenon, and it is great. And there are so few things in this world that are really phenomenal and really great. And what you're doing really is phenomenal and great, and you're having a huge impact. And you're an impact player. And that community, my hat goes off to every one of them. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart on behalf of our nation's combat wounded for what you're doing and your healing ways, and it's just phenomenal. So thank you again for all that you do. And Jake, I can't say enough about you, buddy. I'm proud of you. I admire you. And you are also an amazing impact player. And I appreciate all that you've done and sacrificed to help make this mission possible. And, I look forward to seeing both you two, at every possible opportunity that I could, get myself into. I would spend the time with you guys because you're just super high quality people. And I thank you very much for all that you've done for our foundation, and most particularly for those that we serve. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's an honor. It's an honor and a pleasure.
It is.
All right, gentlemen, we're a wrap. Thank you. Good night, everybody.
To learn more about the mission of the Wounded Warriors in Action Foundation and how you can get involved, please visit our website at WWIAF.org or follow our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Thank you for listening to the WWIA podcast and for helping us honor, connect, and heal our combat wounded Purple Heart heroes through the power of the great outdoors.
If you like what you're listening to here and would like to join our team in our mission to bring healing power and recovery to America's Purple Heart heroes, please become part of our Sponsor a Hero team by clicking on the link in the podcast notes or by going to WWIAF.org/sponsor. That's WWIAF.org/sponsor. Our heroes need you now more than ever. Thank you.